him. He picks up his second. So now Anderson to the free throw line to try to tie the ball game. Guerrero's down 68-66. We are in overtime with 51.2 seconds to go. 2 shots for Anderson.
Portland 100, Minnesota 98. In overtime, Utah got by Sacramento 98-91, and Philadelphia over Orlando 78-61. The Magic scored just 11 points in the third quarter, 26 in the second half. For the Super Bowl champion Ravens, the celebration of beating the 49ers on Sunday continues. On Tuesday, Baltimore will host a parade to honor their title holders. It'll begin in the morning at City Hall and end with festivities at M&T Bank Stadium. CSNBayArea.com reports San Francisco defensive tackle Justin Smith will require 3 months of rehab after undergoing surgery this week to repair a partially torn triceps. The 4-time Pro Bowl selection wore a brace on his left arm that enables him to play in the postseason. Monday night's college basketball schedule included 9th-ranked Syracuse coming off losses at Villanova and at Pittsburgh. Host Dennis Miller.
Looking for Matthews. Blocks through the rim. Sees finishes. Time out again. Notre Dame once more trailing right there.
Man, when fast break points, man, it talks about before the game. It's what gets the crowd going and what they do at home. You got to find a way to do that on the road.
The call of the Syracuse Sports Network from IMG. C.J. Fair, 18 points and 10 rebounds. And after back-to-back road losses, the Orange beat the Fighting Irish 63-47 for their 36th consecutive home win. Elsewhere, number 23 Pittsburgh topped Seton Hall 56-46 on the ice. Third period, San Jose 7-0-1. They lead Anaheim 1-0.
Come here in your trash art country.
Hey, it's good to wake up with us Tuesday morning on Mike and Mike. The Super Bowl MVP Joe Flacco. Find out how he's going to spend all that money he's going to go in there and demand. That's Tuesday morning with us. Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio and ESPNRadio.com.
ESPN LA Sports Center is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Happy hour Monday through Friday from 3 to 6. And appetizers for $3.
You were not interested in talking to you. Not interested.
From the worldwide leader in
You know who you are, and you know who you are.
Radio Sports Center
You know who I am, I know who you are.
From expert analysis, informative interviews, electrifying highlights, and breaking news. This is Sports Center Tonight on ESPN Radio and ESPNRadio.com.
Hi, I'm Freddie Coleman, your friendly neighborhood ESPN Radio and ESPNRadio.com. Here's presented by Progressive
Well, I want you to
Insurance.
answer the question.
Coming up in 15 minutes,
You want to answer the question?
could Kevin Garnett be out of his way of Boston and on his way to Los Angeles and play for the Clippers? That intriguing possibility will be discussed coming up in 15 minutes on Sports Center Tonight. Plenty of discussion about Joe Flacco. It's not about Ray Lewis anymore. Mind how quickly they forget. The guy retires. He has a world championship in his final game. The Ravens beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl. And all day Monday, it was not even about Ray Lewis. It was all about the man that stands to make a lot of money from the Baltimore Ravens or somebody else.
Takes the snap. Steps up in the pocket. Throwing deep. He's got Jacoby Jones open at the 10. Jones makes the catch. He does not. Bounces up. Spins out of one tackle. Running at the left hash mark. Lunges in. Touchdown! Ravens. Jacoby Jones, Mr. Long Distance, has struck again.
Jerry Sandusky in the call at WBAL. The old line is timing is everything, and boy, did Joe Flacco have good timing. He picked the perfect time to have 11 touchdowns and no interceptions in 4 playoff games. He picked a perfect time to win a world championship, only the second in the history of the Baltimore Ravens. And he picked the perfect time to gamble on himself in the final year of his contract and play like he did, especially in the playoffs. It was also good timing for Joe Linton to be his agent, and he said when it comes to Flacco, yeah, that financial neighborhood is Peyton Manning. No question he should be in that neck of the woods.
Yeah, I don't know that he has to have the same address, but yeah, he should be in the same neighborhood probably. I think a lot of it depends on the strike, how you do things. But again, it's really, there's a lot of time to talk about that after his game's over. I'm not even talking about contracts and money with him. He has zero interest in that stuff now for a couple of weeks. So really isn't a discussion that comes up in our conversation.
He's going to count a lot of money or have people that he's paying for him to count a lot of money for him. Either way, Joe Flacco's about to break the bank. But is there a likelihood that the Baltimore Ravens may decide to not re-sign him? Check out what Sal Paolantonio, ESPN NFL reporter, had to say about that.
Over and over again in the playoffs, Joe Flacco came to the Ravens' rescue. A 70-yard bomb in Denver, 3 TD passes in the second half in Foxborough, threading the needle on third down to stop the Niners' surge in the Super Bowl. A resilience that John Harbaugh detected when he drafted Flacco 5 years ago.
It was a dinner that we had at a place called Tark's in Baltimore, where we sat down. We had, I don't know how long, a couple hours, and we just sat and talked. And Joe impressed me as a guy that really was determined to be really good and felt like he had a lot to prove. And he's the kind of guy, no matter what happens, no matter what criticism he throws in front of him, no matter what disappointments he might have, you know, he steps up and he bounces back and he comes back and he goes to work. And I think he'll be the same way with his success.
Were you shocked to find out you were the MVP?
I don't know if I was shocked. It was just kind of one of those things that they kind of come up and tell you pretty quickly. So I was shocked that I got a car. I don't think it would be quite as enjoyable as it would be if we haven't gone through all the stuff that we've been through in the last couple of years, this year. So I think we kept the faith all along, and this is where we envisioned ourselves, and I think that's why we're here.
Looking ahead to 2013, the Baltimore Ravens have a rather large unfinished piece of business. The Super Bowl MVP quarterback is a free agent. Now, they could apply the franchise tag to Joe Flacco, but that would swallow up $20 million in cap space and impact their ability to sign Ed Reed, Paul Kruger, Donnell Ellerbe, and Carrie Williams, all important pieces to their defense. So they have no choice. They must enter long-term contract negotiations with Flacco. The bottom line is, as Flacco told me at the Super Bowl 47, he's a Raven for life. At Super Bowl 47, I'm Sal Paolantonio, ESPN.
I'm Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio. Of course he's going to say he's a Raven for life because he knows the Baltimore Ravens are going to pony up and give Joe Flacco the money that he's looking for. His agent knows the same thing. They are in a position of strength. And it also helped them that Steve Bisciotti, the owner, said, you know what? Joe Flacco's going to be here. We want him to be here. We're going to take care of him. They also know that Ozzie Newsome, the general manager, said he's going to be the quarterback here as long as I'm the general manager. And Ozzie Newsome has been there for a long time, the Baltimore Ravens. They clearly want this guy back. He clearly knows that. That's why there's not going to be a lot of bitching and moaning between both of these entities in terms of, well, he wants too much money or they're not giving me enough respect. That's not going to happen. Both of these sides clearly understand that in this day and age of the National Football League, and you have a guy, Joe Flacco, who is probably the best long ball thrower in the National Football League, and, oh, by the way, he brought you a world championship for the first time in 12 years. You don't have Ray Lewis anymore to be the face of your franchise. The face of your franchise just won you a Super Bowl. Are you going to allow that guy to walk out the door because you're worried about being hamstrung by a salary cap situation? If that means you cut other guys, that's what you're going to do if you're the Baltimore Ravens. It's a quarterback-driven league. You don't run a quarterback out the building who just won a championship and did something only Joe Montana ever did, and that is throw 11 touchdown passes and have no interceptions in the postseason. The Ravens know that. So that means that Anquan Bolden is not going to be signed. If that means that Jacoby Jones has to go somewhere else.
Lakers kickoff to start the second half. Fielded by Jacoby Jones, 8 yards deep, brings it out of the end zone. Left hash mark 10, 15, 20, sends the tackle, 30. Jacoby Jones, he might, 30, he could, 20, no flag, he will go all the way, Jacoby Jones, 108 yards.
That means Jacoby Jones will be doing that for somebody else because he makes too much money in comparison to how much money they're going to have to make sure they keep Paul Kruger defensive end and outside linebacker, Ed Reed a free safety, and more important than anybody else, Joe Flacco. He's not an elite quarterback yet. He's getting there, but he's the face of the franchise. He's clearly the face of the franchise, the Baltimore Ravens. You're going to let that guy go and think that you can find somebody else out there that's going to replace what he's done for them. The guys you need are locked up to their teams. Meaning Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh, Tom Brady in New England, Drew Brees in New Orleans, guys like that. do to get into the Super Bowl next year? I'll take your calls in 40 minutes at 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. But in the NBA, many people thought in Los Angeles that Dwight Howard was the piece the Lakers needed to get back to the NBA Finals. How did he react when ESPN's Stephen A. Smith called him a franchise killer? His answer is next. Freddie Coleman on ESPN Radio.
Sports Center tonight.
Jay Barner here from Quicken Loans. We get a lot of tweets from
all that kind of stuff. The big Boston gangster, he is definitely going to play it. It may be directed by Tim Burton. Ben Affleck supposedly is in early stages to develop a
97266 this.
In the LA Dome, it just happened.
But even during the game, they should have called it the Mercedes Dome, Mercedes Superdome.
They might have it.
I didn't hear
early on, maybe.
I didn't hear it once, Ben. I'll go back to everything I heard over the last 3 days.
October 3rd, 2011.
Never heard that.
The new name took effect October 23rd, 2011. It's the third stadium that has naming rights for Mercedes-Benz. But I don't know that it ever actually had a name prior to that. What do you got over there?
I just saw this come across on one of my news sites that I found.
Oh, no.
Janet Napolitano, a woman to watch for in 2016. She's toying with the idea of running for president.
Yeah? She's in the Newsbender.
Wow.
Later on.
Whoa. Man, she's been living in a bubble, huh? Where she thinks she's getting enough people voting for her.
Maybe a vice president.
No way, dude.
As a VP running.
No chance, man. She is too rough. Too rough around the edges.
So October 15th, getting back to the Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
Yes.
Tests on the dome's electrical feeders showed that they had some decay and a chance of failure. The memo also says 2011 blackouts that hit Candlestick Park in San Francisco were one reason for ordering the tests. The state board later authorized spending nearly $1 million on improvements to the Superdome, including more than $600K on the dome's electrical feeder and cable system.
Yeah, the NFL always brags about how much money it makes, and it's the only sport in the United States that they're the only major sport that can facilitate its own stadiums. They buy their own stadiums. They don't use most of the time. They don't use any public assistance. They don't need it. They have plenty of money in the NFL, and those home stadiums are only used 8 times a year.
Yeah.
8 days a year, and they can pay for themselves. That's how much money's in football. So I have a generator at my house when my lights go out. Why didn't they have a backup?
A lot of people tweeted yesterday at Conway Show, hey, they should have had a generator, Tim.
Yeah, maybe a backup. $1 million is nothing to the NFL.
Well, the NFL says Beyonce's halftime show was on a generator, like they had their own electrical system.
Right.
But
are you a big Beyonce fan?
Take it or leave it.
I'm not a huge Beyonce fan, but I thought that was the best halftime show I've ever seen.
I still have not seen it. I've seen photos, but I will watch the video later.
It was so better than dragging out, ladies and gentlemen, Paul McCartney. Oh boy.
Ebony and ivory together in perfect harmony. Side by side, piano, keyboard, colon.
Sports fans, I want to ask you, Tim Conway Jr. and Angel Martinez and Bob and Misty, game show music.
very overrated music.
Tell me the dollar amount sports fans bet at casinos in Nevada.
Oh, okay.
On the Super Bowl. I will tell you right now, it was a record.
1.2 billion. No, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. 700 million.
This is just in Nevada.
It's 650 million.
No. Angel Martinez.
I'll go 1.2 billion.
Bob.
I'm going with 33 billion.
Misty.
Let's say 60 billion.
Good. Wow. Kill that game show.
Wow. Somebody's never been to Nevada.
Y'all are awful.
How about all the money in the world times